Hello and welcome back to Talk Pitch Side. I am your host PJ with my host Tony, as always, here to recap Week 10, Match Week 10, I guess I should say, because we're having some midweek games here. So Match Week 10 in the MLS, and this one was fun. There were some fun games in here, some record-breaking games in here, which we'll get into eventually, and I think it's just continuing of we keep saying every week. We just keep learning about more of who these teams are, and good and bad, good and bad in a lot of cases. And then I think we saw a resurgence of some teams, Tony. Like we're seeing some teams that I think we both anticipated to be better this season. They got off the rough starts, and they're having some bounce back stretch of games here. So I think we're seeing a little bit of turn for some of these teams. How'd you enjoy your match week 10?
You know, it's funny you say that because I was kind of thinking like, man, we put like a stamp on some of these teams that we thought were going to be good and ended up not being good, and like it kind of goes both ways, right? But I'll hear the Montreal shouts, 2 wins in a row. That fantastic for
It's not.
them. Who'd have
I
thought?
wasn't referring to them.
Yeah, I mean, look out, these guys are powerhouses now. No, but it was a fun match week. I think that we had plenty of goals. There was no 0-0s in this one, which is massive for the brand. Every game had at least a goal. I think we started a little slow, but we warmed up by the time we got to Saturday night and had a really good time with this one. So yeah, excited to jump into it.
Yeah, the early standalone games did not necessarily come with the most excitement in the world, but game one, Toronto 1 p.m. Man, I heard some
Yep.
of the guys that we like to listen to over at Soccer Wise. They said Toronto 1 p.m. is just turning into MLS after dark, but it's at 1 p.m. on a Saturday because
Yeah.
every game with them is just chaos. So we'll jump right into them because they're our first game to cover here. Toronto lose to Atlanta at home. We've been talking about it. They have all these home games going on before the World Cup because the stadium is being used for the World Cup, and they are making renovations and things to it. So they're having to play a bunch of games at home right now. They're not necessarily playing overall completely horrible, Tony, but they're
Yeah.
missing Mihailovic, and they're not winning enough games for all of these home games that they're playing. That your concern is in the back half of the season when you're playing on the road as much as they're going to be, it's going to take a toll, and they're going to lose those games on the road. So that's the worry right now. And then when you're losing games at home to a team like Atlanta, that's where it gets super worrisome. And I mean, we're coming off a game week in which Tata, in a press conference, said, "If I wasn't Tata, I would be fired by this team right now." Like
Right.
that, he said that out loud, and then they go on to lose to this team at home, um, and it continues just to be an electric ending to every game. I mean, they were pushing for the equalizer at the end, couldn't get it, and Atlanta holds on. And as an Atlanta fan, these are the games you gotta just hold on and appreciate.
Yeah.
And like I said, for Toronto, this story for me is more about Toronto and the concern I have for them, especially as the season goes on. Yes, Mihailovic will help on the road, but I mean, playing so many games on the road is going to be brutal here in the second half.
Yeah. This is not an ideal game for Toronto. Also a weird game, just with the rain. Free kick goal for Moranchuk, which was a nice free kick. I don't want to take anything from him with that, but it just felt like kind of what Atlanta generated was a little bit against the grain, and this was just not Toronto's day. That being said, you talk about breaking history. We had a lot of history broken in this game. That Moranchuk free kick goal is the first time Atlanta United has ever scored a free kick on the road. So there's your we're getting our
Oh,
fun fact of the day out early. First ever road free kick goal for Atlanta
it's pretty
United.
insane.
That is kind of crazy, right? So there's that. And another thing I didn't realize until I heard this brought up, but Toronto had not lost a game at home since like May 31st, 2025. It was nearly a year that they have not lost at home. There's been a crap ton of draws, and I didn't believe it when I heard that. I had to go back, and this is an MLS game too. MLS game.
They haven't lost an MLS game at home in 4 years. Did you just say?
No, 2025. May 31st,
Oh,
2025.
I was, I was gonna say,
Did I say 2021?
you said 2021. I was like,
Yeah, okay. No, no,
they
no,
were
no, no,
horrible.
no.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, no, yeah, no. 2025. So, but it was still about a year, and there was some. Well, I don't know. The Italians might have been gone from that point, but A lot of draws, but they had not lost at home. So amidst all this this crazy run of home games, there is some points coming out of it. It's probably not as many as you would hope, especially with just Toronto this year and where things are at. But
Mm-hmm.
you got to take it as it comes. So that was an unfortunate game for them. No excuse me, no Richie Larea, no Walker Zimmerman for Toronto in this one too. Kind of especially no Richie Larea really takes the kind of the sting out of this Toronto team a lot. So nothing I'm going to draw too many conclusions on here. I thought it was a weird game, as MLS before dark games turn out to be, I guess. But yeah, I don't think that there's any way that you should feel more excited about Atlanta or less, worried about Toronto.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean Toronto, they're sitting in sixth in the East, so like you're not upset with where you are. You're on game seven of 10 straight home games. And like you just say that out loud, it's crazy because that
Yeah,
like you come out of you play two road games before the World Cup, then you come out of the World Cup. I want to see how many they play in a row. They come out of the World Cup and they play five straight road games. And then they actually have five more home games soon after World Cup. They must finish. Yeah, I
yeah. I
mean
don't
they
know
play
what
majority of the end of the year all on the road.
what they did.
So
Yeah,
it's just gonna be like they just need to get points now. Like that's just what it's coming down to. Get your
right.
points now and just
And hold
get
on.
share points on the road. That's what you want to do. And they're just sharing a lot of points at home right now. And I think they're averaging right around like a 1.6 point per game clip, which is like you're a playoff team if you're doing that, but you're so
Hmm.
top heavy with home games. So that's the concern overall. So overall, disappointing for them. Good for Atlanta. And this is the type of game you hoped as a Toronto fan that you were going to get all three. So moving on here, you prefaced it earlier. Montreal, they love playing New
Lagging.
York, Tony. They love playing New York. This is the only city they can beat is New York City. Um, they go up 1-0. NYCFC gets a late red at that point. I mean, it's one of these games where you as a if you weren't watching this game, you'd probably be like, "Oh, did they just kind of get their goal and then just survived for their deal?" No, they were. I mean, they of course absorbed a lot of action. NYCFC controlled the ball. They did not allow NYCFC to get in the box with
No.
great like opportunities in this game. Like a lot of the opportunities came from outside the box. There weren't a ton of touches right in front of the keeper. It was all a great defensive performance from Montreal in this one, which you've got to feel good about. And Montreal, man, I mean, it I think the expectations we have for Montreal are so low that like here at 9 points, like in 12, you're like, oh, not bad. And I think you could. This is something you can build upon. I wish they could play New York teams every single game because it's the only city they've beaten so far this year, or actually only city they've gotten a point off of this year.
Yeah.
So you're gonna come out of this great Montreal. NYCFC is in a very, 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 very tough spot. I mean, they are in a downward spiral from that start of the season, and they can't get a win. I mean, they've I think it's six or seven straight now that they have not gotten a win in. So it's been a tough go at it for them, and this was one of the games they were probably circling themselves to say, okay, this is a game we got to get 3 points, and they couldn't do it.
Yeah, I think that they're just starting to get frustrated with, really it seems like giving games away is what it feels like for New York City. Especially when with even despite not having Alonso Martinez, you've seen this team perform, and then suddenly it just kind of falls out, and it doesn't seem to have a rhyme or reason. Now there was a big shot or opportunity Maxi Morales missed in this one where he was about 12 yards out, and I think the consensus there was that he probably should have buried that, and he ended up taking it off target. So there's opportunities where you can kind of nitpick as a New York City fan and say, if the ball bounced differently there, we could be talking about this game completely different, but that's just not the case. But honestly, I think that keeping this New York City team on a clean sheet is a huge confidence booster for Montreal. Who it is not a guarantee to keep them off the score sheet. We watched our beloved Cincinnati tie them 4-4. You know what I mean? And so, like, for Montreal to keep that game in control for themselves and get their moment with Prince Owusu, who's just been awesome for them. that's an accomplishment in and of itself. The unfortunate part is you only get 4 teams against the New York metro area, and after that, it's it's everybody else. So I don't know where you go with this from Montreal, other than like we've said, like you got to celebrate the wins as they come. And right now, Montreal fans better be dancing. 2 in a row.
Yep. Yeah.
This is what you live for as a Montreal fan. So,
Yeah.
very good for them.
Yeah. They got to be loving it.
Yeah.
Let's keep it moving here. We got Minnesota at home versus LAFC. LAFC gets all 3 points on the road. Professional type of victory for them. Still a game they did not play well. Minnesota deserved all 3 points in this game. If you were watching it, so we got our James Rodriguez first start in his
Yeah.
MLS play. He coming in this game had 30 total minutes played this year, Tony. He played 63. So that's a victory
There
in
we go.
itself for Minnesota.
Yeah.
And he looked decent. Like his set piece delivery and some of these set piece deliveries
Was
like
so
were
good.
whipped in.
Yeah.
And I think this is why you're so frustrated that he's not playing, because you're like, we don't need him to be a box to box guy. I need you to be on the set pieces. I need you just to be in attacking spots and just feed these other guys. And he looked good at that times, and the finishing just wasn't there. I mean, they had their chances. They just couldn't get one across. And credit to LAFC, man. I mean, this defense is real. They've had to survive a lot of these games on their own because the attack's been that poor. That's still a storyline for LAC coming out of this one. You're still not going to feel great about them overall. But when you're not feeling great about your team and you're getting 3 points in the MLS on the road, that's the sign of a really good team. They just need to figure it out, get the attack sorted out. The defenses can carry them, as we've seen. In Minnesota, I really do come out of this game like feeling like good about their foundation right now. Like I'm just they like
Yeah.
they to me are a playoff team, and I was so low on them coming in the year, and I think they started okay, and then they've really turned it on the past couple weeks. So you got to give credit to Minnesota despite this loss. I still think I mean, they're just gonna be super disappointed because they were the better team by far in this game.
Yeah. I agree. And that's a new look for them. Like just with the field tilt that Minnesota was holding in this game, like they really were bringing it to LAFC. And that's when we really got to see James shine. And I get the frustrations with, the limited minutes, but he had that weird medical thing too. So I don't know how much of that was in his control. Probably some, but not all. But this is how a signing like this works. Like, I mean, if they can make that work where he just goes after it like he did in this game for that hour that he was in, because he was also launching some long range shots that made Lloris sweat and work a little bit too. So James had just a really, really good impact on the game for the hour that he played. But I will say that this, despite that, is maybe some of the biggest 3 points that LAFC will get this year. Reason for that being that, they rotated in this game going on the road in preparation for CONCACAF Champions Cup coming up this week. And so Sun didn't dress. A lot of the regular defense didn't play. But one thing that's helped supplement that is the return of Aaron Long. He played for the first half of this game. Just a good flag planting game for LAFC
Mm-hmm.
to steal 3 points on the road while rotated, and seem a little bit fresher, going into the really important 2-leg series here for CONCACAF. So that is exactly what the doctor ordered for LAFC, and I think is one reason I will argue for them a little bit higher in the power rankings than I think where you're going to put them this week. But maybe not. We'll see.
Okay.
We'll have to see. Yeah.
No, I'm not that low. I'm not gonna drop them after a performance they'll be well represented. I don't think you'll be mad.
Okay. Okay.
Continuing on to the 7:30 slate now. Columbus. We don't need to spend a ton of time on this one. They just take care of business against the Philadelphia side in the way they should. They've now looked better the past few weeks. So credit to Columbus for now kind of clawing out of the hole they dug themselves in. It's funny, Ohio teams are just feel like mirrored. Like they have the
Yeah.
same points. It feels like the same season so far. And they're
Same
both
score this
now
week. Yeah.
those are the two teams pair of the teams that I'm kind of talking about where we just had higher expectations because of the floor that we felt these teams had, and they're now showcasing it. And you got to give them credit. Now the Arvston goal, of course, comes off a horrible error by Philly and just like basically kicking it backwards when he's trying to clear it, and
Yeah.
then they get the own goal. So it wasn't a pretty 2 goals, but that doesn't matter when you're the victor. Like you take goals where you can get them, and on the defensive end, really held Philadelphia from getting any clear cut chances in this game, and it more of the same for Philly. It's it's how can we get punched in the face in a different way this week? And this week it was defensive errors and more depression for those Union fans.
The Philly look in this game was pretty not unique, but it was very interesting in the sense that we know Philly is a high pressing team, and they certainly did that. But there was kind of a different level of how they sort of sat back a little bit. I mean, here's the craziest stat of all this one: the Crew won 2-0 and only got 4 passes into Philly's box that entire game. That's it. So Crew would get possession and kind of dribble around the early skirts of Philadelphia Union half, but then it was like they couldn't get through. They couldn't find that unlocking pass or move to really stress out Philly a whole lot. And I think you see that represented in the shots and the XG, that it was just a lower episode in this one. So not the best eye candy for this game. I think Philly actually, in my opinion, the XG is kind of lying here. I think Philly had some better chances than the Crew did for the most part. And it's unfortunate. Like I'm not sure I can say that the Crew deserved to win this one, just based on what I've observed from it. So it's kind of a bittersweet thing where they need those points desperately. We know the season that they're going through and just the changes that they've been feeling. And at the same time, like, you can't count this. Feels to me like a false positive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's tough. It's just like I said, more of the same for Philly. I just feel like it's the same. It's the same result in a different story each week, and the story is just
Yeah.
brutally sad every single
It's a
time.
sad story. Yeah.
Um, Continuing though, we've got DC with a comeback win against Orlando. You've got Orlando. We were feeling better about them. We felt like we turned a corner a little bit. They played really well. They fight back in this one. You feel like they're the better team, and then DC fights back at the end. This, by the way, quick shout out, or Spicer's goal for Orlando was a
That was
rocket.
sick. It was sick. Yeah.
Sean Johnson was like, "What the fuck? Like, how am I even, like, what am I
Yeah.
supposed to do?" Um, but no, Rallis gets the goal at the end. I mean, DC gets all 3 points. Um, More of the same for DC. Like, we've said this, they were not going to be as bad as they were last year. Their floor was raised by the moves they made. It's clear they may not be a playoff team, but they're not going to be a wooden spoon team. And it's interesting to watch them go because they have games like this every once in a while where you're like, okay, is there more there, or like what is this? But then you also have to remember, besides like a few games here for Orlando, this is kind of what their defense has been all year long.
Yeah.
So tough go for Orlando, and right when you think they may have turned a corner, it's kind of back to square one a little bit.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of making us rethink what's going on with Charlotte right now. The result this weekend also doesn't make you super, like the resume. Just that Charlotte win is not aged as strongly, I think, as maybe we thought it would. Um, and yeah, so I mean, this is an Orlando team that has problems, but it's also missing people. I mean, that's just kind of straight out where they're at. Duncan McGuire not being there, I'm not sure he changes a lot, but he's a player on your team that you're counting on, that is just not involved in this. And like, there's just no striker on this team at the moment, and obviously they will have one. And we've kind of said, like, hey, if you're in a remotely dangerous spot and then Griezmann joins, like, anything can happen. But yeah, it is disappointing
Yeah,
right now for this
they
Orlando
they
team.
they've just got to be in striking distance because, like, I mean, you've also like factor in the player's actual talent, like in Griezmann, but also just the momentum it's going to build with the fan base.
Right.
You just gotta be alive. Just be alive for it.
Yeah.
Like, just
Yeah.
get a win or two here before the World Cup. Like, feel good. Like, let's get through it and get Griezmann in. So, we shall see. Continuing on though, we've got FC Cincinnati game that I was at. You were not able to attend, and they shut out a team this year, Tony. haven't been able to say that too much. They shut out New York Red Bulls. I think that, I mean, that is a great sign for this team, and to kind of build off these draws to like finally put together an all-around performance that we've been kind of waiting for. The attack really was really good in the first half. They definitely bunkered in a little bit in the second half just to kind of be like, let's preserve this lead. Had some chances, couldn't convert them. A no call penalty as well, which was questionable in that one as well. That they felt like they could have even had a third, but really that first half performance to me was like in the second half defensively is where you can look at it and be like, okay, this is what we've been waiting for. But the weird thing is, Tony, FC Cincinnati went into this game with six
Yeah.
center backs injured. Six center backs injured. So you're looking at their back line, and I just want to talk through really quick. You have uh you have Kyle Smith, who's a fullback at the age of 34. Like,
Yeah.
not a center back. And like just very like guy that you want to bring in every once in a while. Like shouldn't really be playing starting games for FC Cincinnati in their depth. You've got Samuel Geedy, who's a center mid. That is just not a center back. And then you've got Andrel Chirilla in the middle. He's 17 years old, playing middle center back for this defense, a role you expect a Matt Miazga or Miles Robinson basically be playing in
Yeah.
for this team. And it was the best defensive performance they've had against one of the best offensive teams in the league. And yes, there was some rotation in that squad because of injury. I totally get Forsberg didn't start this one. Choupo-Moting was a late scratch. Besides that, this was a normal Red Bull team, and you saw Forsberg come into this game in the second half, and they're still able to put that shutout up. I cannot like the eye test. I just kept saying it over text to our group chat, and I felt validation after the game when I went on social media and you saw like people outside of FC Cincinnati talking about it.
Yeah.
Chirilla in the middle. It was one of the more impressive defensive performances I've seen in any MLS team this season. For this kid to have the confidence he did at 17 years old, the passing display he had from a middle center back position to break lines and to
Hmm.
unlock the Cincinnati attack further, which we've seen the past couple weeks, and give it gave Evander so much room to operate with. Like that's what's been missing is Evander's had to come back so far because no center back's been breaking lines and passes to get them the ball and go. And it felt like he was playing Dado Valenzuela and Evander in great spots in the midfield to then swing it to Buka, who was playing right wing back, who's not a wing back. Like this is what the squad rotation looked like for Cincinnati, and he was dicing people up on the right side to play Danke, who had a great game. Evander had a great game. I know Dem didn't really get on the score sheet, still was effective in his role, and that's like now in my opinion, probably the go-to striker partnership right now for FC Cincinnati is Dem and Danke. It feels like. So it all in all, I know I'm a homer, but it was just like I couldn't believe what I was watching a 17-year-old do in the MLS, and you're seeing this all over the league right now. We're seeing teenagers, this like teenage wave, take over this league this year, and that's what this league needs to be. Like we need to develop these kids, we need to sell them on. Like that's what we are, and it's cool to see so many teams. And yes, this one's because of injury, but this is how these teenagers get noticed. Is there's an injury, you got to fill the spot and showcase yourself. I don't see a world where Chirilla is below half the center backs on Cincinnati's roster with how they played this year. And this is just going to give a guy like Pat Noonan so much confidence to be like, I can put you in with guys now like Miles Robinson and Nick Hagelin and Matt Miazga when they're healthy and feel good because you've showcased without those guys. And now with those guys as a security blanket, like what else can you do? So great performance of them. Weird performance from Red Bulls in that first half. I couldn't believe how disjointed they looked offensively. FC Cincinnati just like controlled the midfield and controlled any opportunity Red Bulls had was just squashed by this midfield and this back line of guys who are playing out of position. And it then just became a little too late. They had some opportunities second half. Roman Celentano, I thought, had a pretty decent game in net with the shots that were at him, and they were just able to preserve. But just felt like a second game of the week type of week for Red Bulls. That they were just like a little rotated. Haven't been playing double game weeks, and this was their first taste of it, and it looked like it was kind of wearing on them a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's fair, but the youth movement definitely is very real right now. Trilla, I think, is worth shouting out because I think you're spot on with just the kind of pressure that is relieved when you have a center back that can distribute like that. Um, I think Miazga does have that in his bag. It's just we have not seen a lot of him due to his injuries, and that's been one piece that's been really missing because Hagland and Robinson um, aren't able to pull that off. They're more just kind of out and out defenders. I think another key piece to this, honestly, though, for FC Cincinnati was Dado Valenzuela in this. Rumors in the
So good.
offseason, yeah, like, and he's playing out of position as well. I mean, basically everybody was for this game for FC Cincinnati. And rumors in the offseason that he was going to get sold. Cincinnati decided to hold on to him, though it's tough for him being a 10 behind Evander. And, there are stories of him asking coach and being like, hey, would you consider playing me at wingback or somewhere else so I can get on the field? There was a moment earlier where he missed a shot against Chicago that probably should have buried. And, at that point, you could look at that as a coach and be like, yeah, like, we might just have to stash you away. And this was a little bit out of force, but he started this game. He was entrusted with that, which maybe forced, but Buka goes to right wing back, which is where normally Valenzuela wouldn't be on the field. Buka would have been there. Echenike came off the bench, so you would have thought that okay, like if Noonan didn't trust Valenzuela, Echenike would have started. Buka would have been in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that kind of communicates a lot to me as far as how Noonan feels about Valenzuela, and Valenzuela rewarded Noonan in his performance and how he played in a deeper role and not necessarily his preference. So a lot going on there with that. On the other side was rotated Red Bulls team, some weird injury stuff. You mentioned all of this, and honestly, that second half, I think they kind of threw it away more than Cincinnati defended it. If I'm just going to call a spade here, I thought there were some big opportunities that Red Bulls should have at least done better with, and really kind of threw away. So
Yeah, it wasn't a like watching per se. It wasn't a ton right at the net though. Like it wasn't like
sure,
there was one I can remember specifically that they should have. I think they hit the post and it was like, oh my god,
there
how
was
did
a
that not
there was a
go in?
post,
But
and then Ruvalcaba skied one, I think, but
hmm
yeah,
but besides that, it was really like Forsberg. What can you do outside the box here? Like what kind of shots are we taking a little bit wild? And I mean, with the backline since they had, like you were kind of okay with what they were allowing. Like you were just like,
sure.
this is par for the course. And like I said, there was a tackle on Echenike on the counter that, it's really up in the air if it was a foul or not. The loudest I've ever heard booze in TQL ever in my life. It was it was crazy. So that was fun. But no, Daniel Valenzuela, great shout. It made me questioning if he should just be a midfielder because the way that he was able to get the ball, and you've seen this with guys like him and Dem as of late for them, they get the ball and instead of just like not turning their back or just quickly playing back, like they're getting the ball, turning immediately and looking to the opposite side of the field to the other wing back, and they're just flying it over there because there's so much space in this game specifically to just ping it over there and let Buka and let Ramirez just go, like let him go, and we can create off of this. So, yeah, it was great performance FC Cincinnati. Hopefully, something they can build on. Let's continue it. Enough glazing. I'm sure you're all sick of it. Let's get into Inter Miami at Revolution. This game ends in a draw, Tony. Um, New England Revolution sneakily just having one of the more quietest, like good seasons right now in the MLS. For a team that maybe didn't have that high of expectations, they get the goal on one of the worst defensive. I don't even know what to call it. It was a throw in that they just threw to the box, and Falcone was battling and just kind of misplayed it, and it just dropped right at Carlos Hill's feet. And it looked like there's four defenders just standing around watching this play occur. And it was just like peak our worries about Inter Miami every once in a while, where it's like this defense can just feel like it gets like unfocused and they do stuff like this. And I mean, it's one I keep wanting to like critique Miami. They still just like aren't losing. Like they're just like
Yeah,
drawing like
yeah.
these games, but it's like they're drawing games at home. Like that's the weird part. They're winning games on the road, but at home is where they've struggled so far to win games and outright win them. And they've had to come back in a lot of them to salvage a point. They get the goal. Messi plays it to Suarez. He plays it across, and Berterame finishes it off the rebound. So credit to them fighting back in a point. Credit to New England. Credit to Matt Turner specifically
Yeah.
was in survival mode for the first like 15 minutes of this game, especially. There was like a ton of shots right in net. So that was a good performance to see from him for the U.S. men's national team. And like I said, just New England sitting in that fourth spot right now in the East, like just quietly having a good year. We've talked about the roller coaster. That's why it's felt weird because they will win by a lot, then get killed. Like you just don't really know what you're gonna get. So credit to New England. They're kind
Yeah.
of figuring it out right now.
Yeah, they are. And I think one of the reasons why we were being pretty quiet on them, I tried holding out on them and just couldn't early in the season. But, their last 5 games, they're 4 wins and 1 draw, which was the draw against Miami. But this is Charmin soft what they're hitting right now against Montreal, DC United, Columbus Crew, and Atlanta, where they're 4 wins.
Yeah,
But
but I'm sure you're gonna get into this, but like how I
yeah,
feel is that's where I think in my mind I assumed there was their tier, and they're
yeah,
playing above that tier. That's what's the
right.
good sign if you're
Right.
a New
But
England
you're
fan.
drawing Miami, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that's like, okay, hold on. There may be some proof of concept here. Now, again, you can talk about how games go. If this game played out 100 times, how many times does New England draw it? How many times does New England win it? Maybe 10, honestly. Like, because I think that, the way this game ran, it was all Miami. The field tilt on this one's pretty insane. The possession numbers are crazy. The shots on target, everything, and vice versa. New England had one good opportunity, and Carlos Seal is the man you're going to trust with that good opportunity, and he take a nice little cheeky kind of half chip thing and scores it. But outside of that, there was not many moments for this game. The only shots otherwise that for New England that were inside the box were like kind of close to the end line and like
Mm-hmm.
non-angle shots. Everything else was outside the box, so it wasn't really there for New England. I believe that they just weren't even really up in that area very often in this game. Meanwhile, Miami, can you believe this? Having finishing problems, which is really a crazy thing. And Berterame, he gets the 1 goal on this, which is playing cleanup in this one. He didn't do too much to create this, but 2.7 xG, 10 shots on target, 5 of those shots considered big chances, and we're only finishing one as at Miami. In Miami, they're doing this. So that's the part that's is problematic, and honestly makes me think. I don't think it's systemic. I think it's just it's one of those nights kind of thing, and you can say that about a lot of these games. Miami, though, it's hard to not believe that, to say that there truly is an issue here. I like their defense has been a problem, but like honestly, this was kind of a ping pongy goal they gave up, and I don't know what you're really supposed to do about that. So I just think that this was it was just one of those games for Miami, and we sort of have
Mm-hmm.
the sleeping giant in them right now until the season starts heating up, probably post World Cup.
Yeah. Yep. They're just gonna be like I describe it as like LeBron when he's in his prime in the NBA playoffs. Like it doesn't matter like who he's playing, what seed he is. Like they're gonna play really well in the playoffs. Like that's just what's gonna happen. And as
Yep.
long as they get there healthy, like you're gonna be concerned if you're matching up against them. So
Yep.
we shall see if they figure out they've kind of committed to this interim coach. We'll see till after the World Cup. We'll see if there's any change that ever comes with that. So we'll see.
We'll see.
Moving on to the most confusing team in the MLS is Austin FC beating the Houston Dynamo 2-0. You're coming off a week where you like, is this like rock bottom for Austin, like where we are right now? And then they pull this out against the Houston side. I think we both were feeling better about as of late. And you're like, okay, is this Houston turning the corner? And they lose this one 2-0. You get Uzini get back on the score sheet. His 1 goal every once in a while to make you be like, oh, he's like maybe we can get something out of him. He's just like he does something like every once in a while, just to be like, is there something there? Can we continue to roll with this and build a foundation off this? But no, seriously, Austin's defense was the star in this one. Like they just held on and survived. This game was pretty evenly matched. Like if you watch the highlights too, like both some equal chances from both sides. Austin not really. I wouldn't even say they even had like great opportunities. They just finished some, and they were able to um, hold on. And the defense that we knew last year had this ability to play like this kind of showed back up today, and kind of pretty disappointing from Houston's perspective. I really thought we were
Yeah,
going to see more of them going forward.
right. So I think the takeaway I take from this one is Austin is sort of, in my mind, becoming the Minnesota United of
Mm.
2026. Um, they are really
This,
starting to sit back pretty deep and bunker and counter. And I think that there's some ways that works for them. I think that Uzuni, for as largely disappointing as he's been, I think that the moments that you see that are kind of like, all right, I understand why somebody believed he was a DP, was the moments where he's in space, where he can take a guy on one. He does have a nice move or two in there. Um, the like that's a transition that you can like get out of being deep. And the same thing, you bring in Facundo Torres this offseason as a winger who obviously is going to be addicted to having as much space as possible to run into. I think it makes sense that they're kind of setting themselves up to be this way, and knowing that they've got a great goalkeeper and a really solid defense that can kind of bend and not break in a lot of these scenarios. Obviously, it hasn't been incredibly ideal this season, but I get where they've kind of been led. Um, and this Houston side with what they are at the moment, and no Jack McGlynn at the moment either. It just seems like they can't really break down something that's going to sit back like that. Their offense certainly has moments, but it does not seem like they're the kind of team that has like the individual quality or like the playmaker that can see that one pass that unlocks that kind of defense and then opens the game up. They don't really have that, especially when McGlynn's not there. He can't even do that consistently, though he has moments that he'll show it. Um, and that's why I think this game, while Houston kind of dominated the possession and positioning of the field, I think that it played into Austin's hands here because Houston didn't know what to do with it, and they walked right into Austin's trap. So we'll say well played to Austin here. You got to take your victories while they come. You got to take any points while you're waiting on Brandon Vasquez to get back, um, and Owen Wolf too. And then hopefully that opens some doors for them, and they become a team that maybe gets hot at the right time.
hmm Yeah, it's I don't know. These two teams are two of the more confusing ones in my mind. I don't really know what to make of them currently. Continuing on here though, we have the beatdown of the week. We have Chicago just destroying SKC 5-0, deservedly so. Was not a fluke in any shape or form. Um, this is rock bottom. In my opinion, this is like SKC. Just I don't even know where they go. I don't know. I don't want to spend some time on this because it's just expected on whoever plays SKC, especially if SKC is the road
Yeah,
team. So I don't know. I credit to Chicago. They're taking advantage of a really poor team talent wise right now, and that's what you got to do at home against a team like that. So that's all I
yep.
got on that one.
And it could have been worse. Missed penalty from Kuipers. Like, could have been worse. So I agree with you. I don't know where you go other than like it's a new GM. I don't know what they're waiting on, but I'd expect pretty heavy changes, hopefully starting this summer for them.
Yeah, me too. Let's continue. A team you've prefaced earlier. We have Charlotte losing on the road against Nashville 4-2. A more back to form type Nashville type performance. Hani Mukhtar continues just to be one of the better players in the league. I saw Tom tweet about it. It's just like he's got to be up there. I mean, if you're not going to count Messi, he's like one of probably maybe the best signing that you could have made
Mm,
as a team in the 2020s. And
for what
I
you
mean,
paid
he's
for
been
him,
an
yeah,
MVP. He's won. He's been one of the best goal scorers in this league ever since he's joined, and he's kind of transformed himself from just a goal scorer to like now a creator for this team, which is the more impressive thing. Is his game has changed a little bit. So it's been fun to watch. They take care of business. I think this is like starting to get a little worrisome for Charlotte, and we talked about it last week. Was like the warning signs, and now you have this kind of loss. You're like, okay, what? what is this team? I mean, I see them being a playoff team. I don't know. I don't know what to make it, especially like when if you Zaha leave, like how are you going to fill that? This
Yeah.
team I think could have some changes here coming the summer transfer window.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, well, we'll start with Nashville. This is the good. They were also partly rotated too. Sam Surge comes in at halftime, gets a second half brace. They're preparing for a really big CONCACAF matchup as well. So representing the other side of the bracket for us here for MLS. And I mean, this did feel very like take care of business. And I'm playing back the goals in my mind that Charlotte scores in this one that Nashville gives up. The one's a corner kick from Ajiman, and that was a breakdown. But that, in some ways, like when you see your team give up a set piece goal, and that's like kind of a one-off thing, you probably don't need to pull any fire alarms on that because hey, we can go back. Let's watch the film. What did we do wrong? Those are pretty easy, quick fixes. And it was clearly a pretty fundamental break when I don't know if you saw this goal, but basically both center backs were both at the same
Mm-hmm.
spot and dove right at the ball, and one of them connected. But if one of them wasn't there, the other one was going to score it. So it was a little bit of a fundamental breakdown there. Maybe someone not knowing the role. The other one was just an absolute banger from Pep Biel. And so like you look at what Nashville conceded, and it really was not that bad, not that valuable. They can pick it up and run. Obviously, they outscored you know giving up 2 goals, and that's okay for them. So I think this was a strong victory for them in the sense that it came at a time when they're going to be rotated, and this is what like really boosts you from honestly like not that we were worried about Nashville not hosting a playoff game, but that's kind of the difference I see is like those extra 3, 6 points when we're talking about rotating and balancing other competitions. I mean, that goes a long way when you're talking about like the last week of the season
Mm-hmm.
and where people stand. So um, that's what's making them a very good team this year. And Charlotte, this is probably now I'll say 3 halves of soccer straight that we've watched of them that they have just been asleep at the wheel, and it's one of those things where they're in that rut, and teams hit these things, but it's just such a weird, kind of like you said, it's just a weird vibe there right now, with Zaha 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and just kind of with this team trying to get rid of Abada, trying to they're just it's so transition right now, just where this team's at and players. Kalina had a howler in this one, and he's been a fantastic goalie in the past. So it's just it's really weird vibes for Charlotte at the moment.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. It's gonna be. They just don't have like an identity. Like I think that's just like the biggest thing. I look at their team right now. I'm like, you're not a defensive team. You're not a great attacking team. Like you're just like
What
okay,
are you?
and you're not
Yeah,
like picking one thing to really invest in, um, which can work if it's good enough. But I don't know. I think they need to like in this next transfer window like commit to who you are. Like what are we gonna be? Are we gonna be a defensive team, defensive structure? Or are we gonna be an attacking team? So we'll see. Next game here we have the record setters, the one that I was talking about at the beginning of the
mm,
show. San Jose Earthquakes on the road beating St. Louis. 2 records set by San Jose in this one. One of which being they're the first team to start the season 5-0 on the road, which I don't care who you're playing in the MLS. That has never been done clearly, so it's impressive. And then they're also the first team to start with the record that they have this season with 9 wins, 1 loss. In their first 10 games. This team just continues to look great. Now, I mean, let's be honest, this one, they had to absorb a lot. Like, this was not a pretty game, especially in that stretch in the middle where they allowed the 2 goals right back to back. And I think at that point, you were saying, oh, this is like, this is an asleep San Jose game. Like, you're on the
yeah,
road. It's double game week. Like, this is the game that you're going to get caught out. And that's okay. And you can feel fine as San Jose have that happening every once in a while. But to have them fight back, and especially Werner is of course the star of this one, gets the
yeah,
penalty, and then that beautiful finish off that cross. I mean, just a banger off the cross, one out of the air, hits it in. Kind of like you can tell he's like this is reinvigorating his career. Like you can tell he's getting into it with
absolutely.
fans. Like he's like he
Yeah.
is like ready to go right now. And early on it was like he was just assisting, and you were like, "Oh, the goals can come," and now the goals are coming. And I think it's a signing that you were when you heard it, you're like, "This is hilarious!" Like him at San Jose, like that's just like why. And now that he's in this system, you're like, this just is like a perfect marriage with how he plays. Like it is like a guy they want to flood the box, they want to go go go, and that's how he plays.
Yeah.
And I'm getting excited about the idea of who else they could add now to this team. It feels Vancouver-ish of last year, and they had this start. You were like, okay, this is like legit. Like they're balancing double game weeks, especially Vancouver when they were in the competition at the same time, went deep, and then it was like, oh, now they're bringing Thomas Muller, and like it just worked, and it helped elevate this team to even another level. And I get excited because I'm like, I hope they can do something like that. I also get worried because you're like, this is going so good, you don't want to bring the wrong guy into that. But that should never be the reason to not go try it. Like you've got to go try and add to this team and add to that DP spot here in this upcoming window. I'm just interested what it's going to be, and it is you just can't say enough great things about what Bruce Arena's done the second year. It's kind of getting to the point where everyone's now just on the bandwagon. Like they're like, yes, this is legit. I can't argue it anymore. There's nothing you can really say. And they're even winning games like this. Like these are the games San Jose,
Yeah.
Tony. Last year, San Jose loses this game 5-1. This game is
Easy.
over in the first half. They gets added on second half, and it's over. Like it is remarkable to see the year over year change with this side.
Yeah. So, next fun fact of the day here: Bruce Arena has coached at the Galaxy, New England Revolution, and DC United as well in his MLS
Mm-hmm.
coaching career. Every single place he won the Supporter Shield his second year. So here we are, year two is San
It's
Jose, and
crazy.
like it's unbelievable. So something to keep an eye on there, just maybe a self fulfilling prophecy that we've got going on. But to your point, this was a game that they would have lost last year. They were rotated here. Just some of the fixtures piling up on them. So no Nico Securis, he comes in at halftime. Ronaldo Vieira comes in at halftime. Buda doesn't start in this one. Those are all three guys that you expect to be in the preferred starting lineup. That is. So St. Louis took the lead. Like San Jose went down, and it kind of took the starters jumping back in to grab a hold of the game again. But what the starters have is working so well right now that it's like we're not sure that anybody can beat them. When you turn them on, you immediately are watching a San Jose team that is just taking it to whoever they're playing. Like they love having the ball, passing around, being dangerous in their opponent's half. And I think that that's a formula that's working so well right now that as long as they can keep folks healthy, knock on wood, this is a team that is going to do some real damage. And the next part is like I think you're experiencing a little bit by seeing the dip and then the back up is that this is not a complete roster, like you said. There's still some depth to be filled out. They're hitting really well on some pieces that 29 other teams in the league would love to pay for that kind of that the numbers that these kids are getting paid for that kind of production. But there's still more work to be done. So that's kind of where we're at with San Jose, where it's looking really good. But to stay, kind of king of the hill, that we need to see another DP. We need to see another depth piece. Those kind of things are what's going to crown you, get you a trophy in some type of way.
Yeah, and like one of the stories that just I don't think gets talked enough about this team is the amount of guys coming on this team that are like putting together substantial minutes and like helping this team. Like you couldn't have named three-quarters of
Right.
the guys on the roster. Like these are homegrown guys. These are guys they've gone out and gotten and really like built up into this team, and I think that's what's the most impressive part. Like it's not a team that they didn't go sign 10 guys this offseason. They didn't.
Right.
There's a lot of guys that were on the roster or on in their academy like they are using, and it's working so well. So it's fun to watch. Next game here, Tony. One I circled for us to talk about because it feels like we're saying the same thing every week now. San Diego loses and loses to Portland at home of all teams. Like another Neville lifeline to live a little bit longer. Um, like this is a game that San Diego should win. Kevin Kelsey has a good goal at the beginning of this one, but then San Diego responds right back, and you're like, okay, now you're just waiting for the San Diego goal at some point to break through, and it just never happened. And they go, and Portland gets a disgusting corner goal at the end of this one. But even
Yeah.
after that, like Dreyer has a one-on-one chance with the keeper. Last year, Dreyer finishes that like 10 times out of 10. Like it's like one of those like setups where you're like, this is who he is. He's gonna finish it, and he just doesn't. And that's just what's been missing there a little bit for this team is they're getting the chances, they're just not finishing. And um, the fans are now getting pretty upset. You have the attendance dropping quite a bit, and
Hmm.
they're chanting Chucky Lozano at the ownership. Like it's this now this like okay, at what point is it losing enough where we're gonna bring in this DP guy we're paying $10 freaking million to just not play, and
Right.
whether it's him playing or doing something about it, and now trying to fill that spot. So I don't know. I don't know what the solution is right now. Like they're still playing the San Diego way. Like they dominate possession, they dominated opportunities. It's just not finishing them. And the defense is allowing a good 2 to 3 good opportunities a game. And it feels like every other team's finishing those chances against the defense on top of it. Hey, no red card though.
No red card, so we're moving up. But we're seeing a little bit of the San Diego that I believe we've kind of when they hit their lull in the season last year, we kind of described them as this, which was the playing with their food San Diego, which all that possession but nowhere to go with it. They just seem a little bit aimless, and I mean, I know what you're saying with the Dryer chance. And here's the thing: is if
You
that's
mean
the only
Lozano?
guy that
Lozano chance.
the Lozano chant. Oh no, sorry, the Dryer chance in the game.
Chance. Okay. Yes. Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
yeah. Um, that, but who else are you going to trust on this team with that? And right now, it just
No, no,
doesn't
no. Yeah,
seem.
that's not what I'm saying. Like you want him in that spot 10 times out of 10. I'm
Yes,
just saying
yes,
it's just one of those things you're like shocked because last year he made all of them. Like they all went
correct,
in.
correct. So the point I'm trying to make is all this possession and one outlet for it, right? And Dryer, and that was working for a little bit. Dryer was playing out of his mind. They would get, random contributions from team goals and that kind of thing, but that seems to have dried up a bit. And the San Diego way is putting, some really young players in positions that are just capable of showing mistakes. Like one of the things that was wild with this game was Anthony had two shots at a wide open goal because Faree was coming straight out
Hmm.
at him. The first one he dribbles around off target, second one dribbles around, makes it, but then was offside. So like this could have been way crazier or case shut a little bit sooner. And Portland was doing Portland things too. So that's just where like I look at San Diego right now, and it's like I just wonder how many conversations are happening between GM and ownership, and they're saying, "Look, we only had to pay this much last year, and you won us the conference. Why are you telling me now we need to spend more money? You like that? That's the struggle I think that maybe San Diego is battling right now. The Lozano stuff is just weird, and that they're not addressing it is weird, and how he's not gone is weird. And it would be a non-story if San Diego is still winning games, but the problem is that they're not, and it's
Yeah.
just a glaring talent hole right now. So it's like something's got to be done. It's just another team right now with some weird vibes here, San Diego.
Yeah, it's the easiest thing for fans to grab onto. Like it's just when you're losing, it's like, yeah, this is a storyline. Like I will go to this, and I don't blame them. Like
Yeah, yeah,
it's clearly the issue is the finishing up top right now, and that they just need somebody. And it's like, oh yeah, we remember we paid this guy $10 million to do that. Like, where is he?
yeah.
So
Money just gone.
it's all interesting, and he's not going to play. Like the coach, they've come out, they've asked him in the
They had
interviews, and they're like, "Is there any chance of him?" And he's like, "No." He's just like, you will not. Like, just stop asking. So it is interesting. Okay, let's roll through these last couple here. As we're getting a little far on time, we got Seattle taking down Dallas. I don't think we need to spend a lot of time on this one. We kind of previewed it in the reasoning of why this was going to probably happen the way it did, and it was no Musa. And Seattle got
Yeah.
their goals, and then held on, and there wasn't really a ton of chances for Dallas.
No, yeah, they didn't generate much. No Musa, no Logan Farrington. So Batman and Robin both out for Dallas. So I think that hurt a lot. Yeah, zero point 0.5 xG off of 10 shots. It was lacking for them. Jesus Ferreira revenge goal, fun little moment there. Tries to
Mm-hmm.
double it. PK saved. Um, that's a tough look as well. But I mean, just this is the Seattle that we're just familiar with, and this game is honestly the best way of describing it. This was a classic Seattle game, especially in Seattle. We got pretty much everything we expected out of them and for this match.
Yeah, totally. Moving on here, we have Vancouver continues just to be awesome. I can't get over how awesome this team is, and like it's well documented. I'm sure if you're clocked into MLS at all, like the off the field stuff is really the big story with Vancouver right now. It's impressive with how well they're playing with all this off the field noise. I think, in my opinion, that it's basically like the team's going to get moved. It feels like, and the fans had the protest in the last game. The ownership, as we're recording earlier a couple hours ago, just put out a statement just being begging for somebody to invest, and
From
like that's
Vancouver.
not
Yeah.
good. Like
Yeah.
that feels like the last lever to pull, and like because in a response to what the fans are doing, to kind of
Hmm.
say like, hey, we're trying, and
Absolutely. Exactly. Yeah.
they're now trying to throw it back at the city of Vancouver, basically saying like they're not going to do anything, and like they're basically trying to be like, hey, fans, direct it at them, don't direct it at us because we're trying, and I don't see this one ending well. Unfortunately, I don't. I don't want. No one wants them to move. Like the history of this team, foundationally, I think they started in the '70s. Like literally, this is how old this team is. They've gone through 8 divisions through the years. Like, and this is where they've ended up. Like that is so much history that you don't want gone. But just talk about on the field, they played against Colorado side that has just been awesome offensively, and they held them at bay for the most part. And the attack for Vancouver is nuts right now. Like they they are going bananas every single game, and it's just the same guys. Like you just are looking at these guys they have, and they just keep Moeller. You've got Brian White getting erased in this one. Sebastian Berhalter still looking awesome. Like they just have such a strong foundation going right now. You're just going to see them at the top of this power rankings over and over again.
Yeah, they are just so dominant. I think it's fun that Colorado did poke one in here, just a little bit of firepower that they got going on. But this game was always Vancouver, and yeah, I mean it. Just like we had textbook Seattle, we had Vancouver in this one. I do think that we saw some stuff from Zach Steffen in this game that makes you really sad for him and just kind of where he's been and now where he's at now. Like just it feels like he's a little bit falling off, and that's
Oh, it's bad. It
it's yeah.
He is like arguably top 5 worst goalkeeper in the MLS this year.
I haven't looked at the numbers per
Dude, some of
se,
the errors
but
are horrible. Like we've
they're
seen it.
oh
There's
yeah,
been multiple games where he's just been missed a ball, like let it roll in the back of the net, like
correct.
mishit a pass, like straight to a goal. Like it has been a horrific showing.
It has been. It's been really bad, and now it's got me interested in the shot stopping numbers. But yeah, he like that's been rough. This is a game that Colorado's got to shake off. We not that we know where they're going to end up, but we kind of know where they're going to end up, where they're going to be that 5 seed, 6 seed probably in the playoffs. And with an attack like theirs, they're going to stay in games for the most part. It's just when you go against the top, this is kind of what you have to expect. I do think there's a little bit of me that's kind of disappointed in this. Not, I mean, Vancouver being like Vancouver is great, but that Colorado kind of didn't give it more of a fight than what it was. I think still shows you the levels to where they're at right now.
Totally. Yeah, they're gonna be up and down, but I think the floor compared to the past couple years is definitely higher. I think we can both agree on that. Let's go into the Sunday night soccer game where we have the LA Galaxy take down RSL. Marco Royce with a brace in this one. Marco Royce, welcome to the MLS season. Um, this was a gross game overall, and RSL just had the ball so much. Like it was like I was sitting on the couch with my wife watching this game, and it was like they just couldn't do anything with it. Like I'm so used to their offense being able to just create these like really high XG chances, like for them to convert, and they just could not do it, especially in the second half. Once they had the lead or had to come back, I know it was drawn at that point because they scored right before halftime,
Yeah.
or they didn't even score. LA Galaxy scored themselves, and it was like they controlled the whole second half, and you were like waiting for the RSL goal. Like you were like, it's coming because this is the Galaxy. This is what they've done all year. And then
Yeah.
out of nowhere, Marco Royce comes and they get the penalty, and he scores the goal, and you're like, how is Galaxy going to walk away with a win in this? And they do. They get all 3 points. Like these are the games they just have to win right now. Like you got to scratch these ones out until the World Cup when you got guys like Klaus coming back after that. Um, so credit to them. You feel great. You like to see Marco Royce actually producing for your team and showcasing. And he's looked okay this year. Like it's been a good Marco Royce year, and he's been healthy. So um,
Hmm.
good for the Galaxy. Definitely like taking a little bit of the steam out of this RSL train the past 2 weeks. Kind of where they kind of got they were going to that Miami game feeling really like this is a good test for us, and then kind of got silenced a little bit, and now it's like doubling down against a poor LA Galaxy side.
Yeah, for sure. I do have to loop back. I did look at the goalkeeping numbers. Zach Steffen is fifth worst in goals prevented with -3, meaning that per what you'd expect a average goalkeeper in the database, they would have saved three more goals from going in than what Zach Steffen has. So that's pretty rough, and he is
It's like bottom five.
not in good company here. And actually, the other people in this like neighborhood are like really surprising. Not to totally tangent it, but Christian Kalina is right above him. It's been a rough year for him, and then right below him is Luka Gavron, but we give him a break. He scored a goal, so that doesn't count.
Exactly. So you get one taken off, at
Yeah,
least one goal
yeah.
taken
So
off. Yeah.
then that would bump him to like that would bump him to like 23rd. Um, then Andre Blake and Roman Berkey are third and second to worst, and I guess
Berkey,
just rough teams. They're facing tough shots, right? And then
yeah, that's more.
Jonathan Bond,
It's
Houston's is like really bad.
Yeah,
So
I'm sure Berkey got dinged for Werner's volley was great. It was hit like right at him, but I think it was
yeah,
just hit so hard. It's like you're not even expecting that clean of a hit. Um, but yeah, my eyes no ball. I knew that he was having a bottom five
that
season. I
was
was like,
it. Yeah, you've seen you know goalkeeping. Speaking of goalkeeping in this one though, Cabral for RSL, I think kept RSL into this one longer than what they deserved. To be honest,
the
he had some
first
really
half
nice saves
especially.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and he's had a good season just as well. It was not just this game. And I think he's been part of the RSL revitalization story. And but yeah, this one was just one that Galaxy. I think they had all their big guns back. Here's the other important part with the Galaxy: Glesnes played for the first half. Having him back has been
hmm
massive. And then Justin Hack also played 90 minutes in this one. So these were the two big moves that the Galaxy made last season. Um, they haven't been able to see the immediate payoff just with those guys being injured. So I think that adds a lot of structure for this Galaxy team, which can jam up their opponents. And RSL did not come with everything that they had. Gulavogi came off the bench. Sergey Solans, who's been a really strong young player for RSL, came off the bench. So we can start filling in some of these names, right? And so you combine those two things, and it's like, okay, yeah, I guess Galaxy probably were a goal better on the day. Are they the better
Hmm.
team? Maybe, maybe not. It just kind of depends. We didn't get to see an RSL team at full strength, and we just saw Galaxy for the first time at a higher level than what they've been able to show so far.
Totally. Okay, well, let's get into it, Tony. We're going to get into the power rankings here. We'll knock these out really quick. Everyone's favorite segment. Uh,
Hmm.
I'm just going to say that because I do it, but everyone's favorite segment is PJ's power ranking list. Um, you can see this, right? It's all good on your end.
Yep, yep.
Okay, let me pull up my notes here.
He
I'm
doesn't know it by
I
heart.
yeah, that's where they're gonna get me. No, I honestly though it's I've changed a couple things around. I'm interested to know how you feel about the changes that I do have here. Um,
Show me Montreal at 10.
I kind of wanted to, but I'm not going to. Just
No
for the
way.
memes, I kind of wanted to.
Yeah.
Um, okay, well let's get started at 10th here. And Tony, I got to show love. And love is going to be shown, and that's
Okay.
New England Revolution breaking the top 10 for the first time.
Yeah.
I think we can all agree this is deserved. That, like I said, you kind of just look at the standings, you're like, really? That's where the New England Revolution are, is because of how up and down they've been. But as we stated here earlier, like they've won 4 out of 5. The one draw being against Miami on the road, like this is a team that deserves credit. I still need to see it a little bit longer to know how for sure this is for this in the better opponents. But we talked about it. They're clearly above that bottom tier in the league. Like they're in the middle tier, and they're going to be frisky. And it's you got to give them respect. They're playing like a top 10 team in the league right now.
Yeah. And right now, I believe there's 5 teams in the league that have not lost in their last 5 games. The Revolution is one of them. Um, and I earlier kind of dinged them, and I still think that 10's a good spot for them. I dinged them for how easy a lot of those 5 games were, but Miami was certainly part of that, and I think that weighs it. But we also talk about that MLS is a league of parity, and so not losing in 5 games in a league that is very even, I think does vouch for some success and needs a little bit of power ranking recognition.
Totally. Okay, next team I have here, Tony. And honestly, I'm kind of regretting not flipping these teams, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to put Minnesota above New England. Um, I'm already
Yeah,
second guessing my list. I, they lost. We know it. We talked about it. It was a loss. I was still coming out of being like Minnesota is like a legit team, and if you can get that version of James Rodriguez more consistently going forward, like who knows what they could be. Now we'll see if he's around after the World Cup, but I like what I'm seeing from Minnesota. They're changing how they're playing too. Like they're not just sitting back. Like when there's games for them to be on the front foot, they're doing it. And unfortunately, this past week they just couldn't fully put it together. But I still like what I'm seeing from Minnesota.
yeah, I can see why you'd want to flip them. Uh, I don't want to get too carried away in the recency with New England, but I think that there is real argument for that. Like, I mean, just Minnesota has scored 11 goals this season, conceded 14. New England has scored more and allowed less this season, so that's part of it. But I do think that the Minnesota strength of schedule has been a little bit stronger. I mean, because we're throwing in a Galaxy team we just spoke somewhat highly about. We're throwing in a
Mm-hmm.
Dallas team. These are games that they've won. So yeah, they fell to LAFC, but looked feisty in it. I think that it's okay, just kind of based on vibes here. You take them at 9.
Yeah, Tony at number 8. I have to do it. I've got to put RSL down a little bit further this week. They're coming off back-to-back losses. A rough double game week for RSL.
Yeah,
They played Minnesota or um Miami, so I give them
Miami. Yeah,
you give them grace there. But yeah, I think that this game against the Galaxy, although on the road was like one you were hoping they would bounce back, and they weren't able to quite do it. I still believe in them. I still am on the train. I just think they deserve to be dropped a little bit in our power rankings.
sure. Let me ask you, if they drew, like if it was like a 1-1 tie or something, where would they be this week?
Um, I don't think they would. I think they still might be where they are because I think the
Okay.
team I have next I feel better about right now.
Gotcha. And they probably won this week, so that warrants the jump, I would say. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. Don't get me wrong. I'm an RSL stan. I'm waiting for admin to send me their jersey. But at the same time, I could I could see even Minnesota being higher than them in the power rankings right now. So I understand the hesitation. I'll feel for you there.
Okay, at number 7, Tony, I have the Chicago Fire,
Hmm.
and this is a team that just won 5-0. I just don't know like what to take out of those games when you play SKC. But
Yep.
they won the game, so I can't be like uh just like moving the finish line here. They beat the team they're supposed to beat, and they beat them big time. And this is kind of the Chicago attack we've been waiting for a little bit. They've kind of shown it now for a couple weeks, but this is where when we came in the year, it was not the defense that we were feeling good about. It was this attack. And when you got Zinkernagel and you've got Kuipers looking the way they do right now, like you're like, okay, this is what I envisioned and how this was going to work.
Yeah, I think that there's nothing you can fault Chicago with on this week. They're another one of the teams that I mentioned that has not lost in their last 5 games, so they're already in elite company in that. And they've got a little bit of a resume. Beating Nashville, I think, is a huge result for them this season, and being Nashville's lone loss, I think, speaks some volumes here. That is a team that's hot, and they've performed against some of the best.
Totally. Okay. Well, next here I have got the Seattle Sounders at number
Mm,
6. This feels like I feel like I'm disrespecting them by putting them here. But it's like I do respect them so much. It's just like a weird team. Like they just don't score a lot. Like, and
yeah.
it feels like every game they win is by one goal. Like but this is the team come playoff time. I'm like, this is a veteran team that I'm going to feel really good about in the playoff scenario, and I feel good about the structure they have. Guys are healthy. Like we actually are seeing some health on the side. Guys, you feel like you
Yeah.
haven't heard their names about in 2 years in the MLS because they've been that unhealthy. Like Jesus Ferreira, he's alive. He's a
Yeah.
good goal scorer in the MLS. He just hasn't been healthy, and if they can get him rolling, get Jordan Morris's legs back under him, like this is a team you feel much better about going forward than you did at the start of the year with all these injuries.
Definitely. And I mean, if you're looking at defenses and just in terms of goals allowed, Seattle's the best defense in the league. They've only given up 4 goals this year, and there's other teams that Vancouver's given up 5. There's a handful of teams that have given up 6, and they're all towards the top of the league. But Seattle just takes the cake right now on that. They've also played 2 less games, or at least 1 less game than some of these teams. So that stat's not entirely fair, but the point being that they're still on a good trajectory with that. And this is just a Seattle that we're familiar with, that they do kind of coast in second gear. And honestly, that does the job just fine for a lot of it. And we're starting to feel like the engine rev up with some of these main guys coming back, poking in goals. They can be really scary. It's just a matter of like, are all the stars going to align for them again to kind of really hit their top notch, their highest cylinder. So that's what we still need to see from them. That's what I still at least need to see from them for them to at least go a little bit higher in these power rankings. So I'm cool with where you put them here.
Okay, I have our first controversial placement, and I think this is the one you were concerned I wasn't going to do, but I think we're on the same boat here. I'm putting LAFC number 5,
Hmm.
and their defense is looking great. I love it. The attack is a legitimate concern for me and what it's looked like. The fact that Son has no goals is utterly insane. Like
Yeah.
with what he was doing last year, like they of course like get the 1-0 victory, but it's just not it's still not pretty. Like I don't feel great about them in the short term before the World Cup, and I think that's kind of why I'm feeling them at 5 versus the next team that we're gonna have here. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
throw them up there because
Yeah.
I think
Yes.
the top 3 is inarguable, and this was the last controversial um, 4 or 5 right here, maybe where we'd have them. So let me know how you feel about that.
I would have flipped him. Um, I
Oh,
think.
okay, okay.
Well, yeah. I mean, if we're talking about what have you done for me lately, Miami just drew and LAFC just won. I know last five looks a little bit different between these two, but LAFC also holds a head to head with Miami. They beat them 3-0 in the
Yeah,
season opener. I just think like I echo your concerns for that LAFC attack. It is a really strange thing. I also just feel the weight a little bit more for LAFC now that they're balancing competition still while Miami got bounced earlier. So I mean, you kind of saw that like Sun didn't score this week because he wasn't playing, and Sun
yeah,
still has like 7 assists or something like that. So I understand the concerns, and I think there are definitely things that need to be addressed. They are a little bit one dimensional in the attack, but their defense has been so good. They just got Aaron Long back. Um,
mm-hmm.
I, I just feel more confident in LAFC at the moment than I do Miami. I think they're going to be LAFC's gunning for results now, whereas Miami's gunning for results come October. So that's kind of where I'm at with them. I would have flipped them, but carry on.
Yeah. It is like it's a brutal Western Conference in the way of like 4 of the top 5 on any given week, 5 top 6 are gonna be Western Conference teams, and like this is the dogfight it's gonna be at the like LAFC if they slip up at all, like and have a rough few games, or any of these top 3 for that matter, like you could be looking at the 3 seed in the playoffs, and that could be a big deal when it comes down to like the Western Conference Finals and things like that. So it's going to be interesting to see who wins out this Supporter Shield race. I'm going to go all 3 here, Tony, because I just want to get your reactions. Because
Okay.
I think number
Yeah.
3 we both like cannot we both just agree it's Nashville. Like they're great, best Eastern Conference team right now. But the 1-2 are the 2 teams in the Western Conference. Last week, I held Vancouver there. I thought they deserved it, even despite San Jose still having the points above them and the head to head. I can't. Tony, the record breaker's got to take number 1 for me this week. And
Whoa.
there's nothing Vancouver did wrong. I just love San Jose, and I want to put them there for the record breaking. Like they have the best start in MLS history right now. Like
Hmm.
how can I drop them? And they beat the team that's number 2. Like I don't know what else they could have done for me. So I regret my decision last week because now it looks like I'm a flip flopper, and I
Wow.
need to course correct. And I'm gonna go San Jose at 1. I'm okay with you disagreeing. I feel good about this list. Like this is a list I feel good about.
Yeah, I think that people in Survivor, when you play Survivor, they don't like flip floppers. Those guys get voted
Yeah.
out pretty
No,
quick.
I hand up.
So yeah, I here my argument against it, and I definitely think that like San Jose versus holding over Vancouver head to head is a valid argument. That was 5 games ago. That was over a
Yeah, but you
month
just made the
ago.
same argument for LAFC Miami. I'll be honest with you, Tony. Now you're flip flopping on me.
Hold on, hold on. That's not what I'm saying. Wait for it for a second here. But it's what have you done for me lately, right? And that was like
Man,
I mean I know I made the head to head argument, but that was a 3-0 game, and that was like the last little bit, like to push you over the edge. That was not the main point. So the main point is that Vancouver's recent games versus San Jose's recent games. Uh, by the way, both impressive, but I like Vancouver's performances. That they seem more, I don't know what you want to call it, wholesome, collected, uh, than San Jose. Like, and
yeah, I
same
mean,
reason
like
I'm arguing. You guys are,
well, I was gonna say to back you. Also, I'll
yeah,
read back you. Like we're splitting hairs. Like
yeah, correct.
these are the
San
2
Jose
best
did
teams
nothing
in the
wrong to
league.
be in second in my mind.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, these are the 2 best teams. I don't think anyone could argue like that. And it is like when it comes down to playoff series, I think if you had to put a gun to everyone's head, they'd be like, "I'm picking Vancouver in head to head." Like I
right.
and I get that. Like they've shown it. now in the playoffs, and now they're re-upping it this season. So like you naturally like I believe in the talent on that team too. Like they just have more talent. Um, I'm just like this is why I want San Jose to go down and get the DP because I think this matchup could be so good if there's another like legit DP on San Jose to bring another weapon. It's going to be so interesting to see kind of like who wins this fight in the end.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be crazy, and the history part is wild too. To think that San Jose is on 27 points and we're 10 games in is just absolutely blazing pace. Like playoff teams
Mm-hmm.
finish with in the 40s and 50s in points, and
It's crazy.
we're at the third point in our season,
What
not
did
even
okay?
not even quite. Yeah.
Let's go. Quick side note. What did San Jose finish with last year?
Ooh, now that is a question. Uh, San Jose last year finished with loading 41 points. And they
They
were,
are almost there.
yeah, and that was a tiebreaker that they didn't get in. RSL was the last spot in. They were both
Like
on 41 points.
they could get to that in 5 games, and that's legitimate. Like you could feel them winning 5 games in a row because they've just done it. Like
Yeah. So let's see. The playoff line was 41 in the West. It was 53 in the East. I bet that'll be different. That'll be flip flop this year, where the West will have a higher playoff line. But all that to say, like, okay, even if it's a tougher conference and you need 54 points, they're halfway there, and
yeah,
they have, they've played 10 games. They have 24 more games remaining.
yeah.
So,
And that's what makes us even more impressive. Like they are playing in the tougher conference, and they've played some of these tough teams, and they've won some of these games. So credit credit both these teams. We love them both. Like we both believe that they're going to be here in the end. I think this is going to be a three-headed race for the Supporter Shield. I think Nashville's going to have a say in this in the end. I really do. I think they're
mm,
just that talented, especially when they get out of CONCACAF, which we do have two big CONCACAF games here on Tuesday, Wednesday. So be on the lookout for
yep.
those. We'll talk about those on Friday's episode. But just this is going to be a great race. You can already feel it. This is going to be a good Supporter Shield race this year. There's a ton of top end talent in the league right now, so it's super interesting. But I think I feel good overall about this list. Like once again, we're splitting hairs about the top two. I
Yeah.
think this top 10 is like yeah, this makes sense. Like this is the top 10 as of right now, playing as of late in the league.
Yeah, I think that even like the teams that you would think about honorable mentioning here are just kind of on the downslide. Like you're looking at 11, 12, 13th in the Supporter Shield standings, and it's
Yeah,
Charlotte, RSL, Colorado, Dallas, just all have kind of been on a rough little string of games there. All those teams I just mentioned, out of their last 2 games, only one team has drawn one game. Everything else has been losses. So
yeah.
um,
And
there's just been a backslide. There's a pretty clean break at 10.
Yeah, and this is where I kind of spoke to the teams like Columbus, Cincinnati, where you were like so down on them early this year and how they're playing, and then depending on how things break next week, like you can see these teams in the top like 12, like record wise, like
Yeah.
like that's just how like toxic the standings are right now, especially in the Eastern
Yeah.
Conference. Like you could be out of the playoffs basically, and if things go your way one week in the Eastern Conference, you could be like a fifth seed. Like it's like could be totally thrown off right now. Um, and this is where we keep talking about like you just need some momentum before this World Cup. Like if you can just put yourself in a decent spot, like that's it's 2 different seasons. This is season one, and if
Yeah.
you can end season one in a playoff spot, you're in a good spot as a team. So,
Right.
um, it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out in the end, and the World Cup affects it all.
And
Okay,
another
well,
little
Tony.
yeah,
Oh,
fun thing here too. There's only 2 teams that have lost their last 5 games. You know who those 2 teams are? You can guess one pretty easy.
oh, well, SKC definitely.
Yep.
Let me think. Don't tell me who's been really. Oh, I know who it is. It's the red card merchants, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
San
Yeah, it
Diego.
is.
Yes, they.
Yeah.
That's we keep talking about them every week. It makes sense. They've been that bad.
Right. The last 5 games, 5 losses, but they're the only 5 losses on the season. So that's they're not all the way at the bottom, but like you're mentioning how tight this is, they've slid all the way down to 22nd in the Supporters Shield
Mm-hmm.
race. So thin margins we're working with.
Totally. Okay, well, that's going to do it for us this week. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Let me know if I mess up the rankings. And shout out San Jose. Record breaker.
Shout out. Yeah.
Now, nothing's won
Congratulations.
in April, so let's see how it plays out. But all-time season. One of those seasons as a San Jose fan, you're just like, this is the greatest. This is the greatest 2 months of my life. But we appreciate you guys. We will do previews on Friday's episode, and then we will also be recapping everything that happened in CONCACAF because we have two MLS teams playing two Liga MX teams in this round. So we're fingers crossed going for an MLS final. That's what we're hoping for.
Yeah.
But with that being said, we will see you guys on Friday.
See you.